Good morning, and welcome to the Financial Optimist. And today I want to talk about the collapse of consumer spending. So without further ado, let's dive right into it.
We just got the most recent consumer spending data from the Federal Reserve, and it's not looking good, but I see some news outlets trying to turn this into a positive. Because the thing is that credit card spending has been essentially flat for the last few months of 2025, and that the reason for it is that consumers are not confident in the economy, which could definitely be one of the reasons. But I think there's a lot more to it than that. So I want to dive into what's going on with consumer spending habits right now and see what we can make of it.
Alright, so when it comes to collapse of consumer spending, this is something I've been seeing lately. For example, just a couple hours ago, I went to supper. I went to a local restaurant shortly before 7 o'clock, and I was the only customer there. I mean, you think, 6, 7 o'clock, that's a prime dinner rush hour, it should be packed. There was no one there, it was just me. So I asked the guy behind the counter, like, hey, what happened? He says, well, just a slow day. So then after I finished my supper, I went across the street to a bakery to buy myself some dessert. And same deal, I was the only customer there. And this was shortly after 7. So you're thinking, like, this is the time of day these places should be busy. Instead, they're very, very slow. I'm the only customer at both places. So spending must be down because people can't afford to go out and spend right now. They have a hard time finding a job. Maybe, the interest rates on the credit cards are rather high. All kind of reasons why people just don't have any money.
2025, total U.S. consumer debt climbed to a little over $5.06 trillion, which is a new all-time high, which is all different types of debt that people hold, not just credit card debt. We're talking mortgage debt, personal loans, auto loans, student loans, credit card debt, buy now, pay later. About 1.31 trillion of that 5 trillion is credit card debt, and 3.76 trillion of it is non-revolving credit, things like the auto loans, student loans, and personal loans. And the revolving credit portion of it actually fell 5.45% in the most recent month, which is a rare dip that might reflect households could be hitting their limits or paying down balances after heavy summer spending.
Alright, so what I was saying here is overall debt is high, but sounds like credit card debt is going down because people are spending less. And one thing I did notice at the restaurant, they had a sign up by the register saying, if you're paying with a credit card, there's a 3% fee, but if you're paying with a debit card, there's no fee. So of course I pay with the debit card because I don't like to pay fees. But on top of that, here at the Financial Optimist, I promote the debt-free lifestyle. I don't have any credit cards. I've never had a credit card. I never will have one. And so because of that, I save a lot of money because I can avoid a lot of credit card fees at various restaurants and other shops by not having a credit card. Debit cards either have fewer fees or oftentimes no fees at all. Then, of course, if you're buying things on credit, people typically buy more. Like if you're buying a meal on a credit card, usually you get a dessert with it. But if you're paying cash or a debit card, usually you don't get dessert. You save some money that way. And then, of course, if you're putting on the credit card and you forget to pay it on time, you have late fees, you have interest payments, which can make it very expensive. Or if you're either a cash or a debit card spender like I am, there is no late fees, there is no interest because, there's no payments to pay off, there's no bill to pay off, you just pay for the food, you eat it. So by avoiding borrowing money, it really does save quite a substantial amount of money. So that's why I promote the debt-free lifestyle, because it saves so much money in so many different ways. And that way we don't have to feed into this problem. So if you're someone that sits there going, hey, this problem of debt is out of control, the credit card problem is out of control, interest rates are too high for credit cards, well, the way you solve it is by fixing the problem in your life. If you think there's too much debt out there, go ahead and pay off your own debts. If you don't want to see, the credit card problems become bigger, then get rid of your credit cards. If you don't want to see the student loan crisis get bigger, then go ahead and pay off your student loans. That's what I preach here at the Financial Optimist is individual solutions. Instead of talking about how some politician needs to pass a law in order to fix our problems, I talk about how can I solve the problems in my life so I don't have to deal with this kind of stuff.
As it's on the first one, people are hitting their limits. They actually cannot spend more on the credit cards because there's probably nothing left to spend in many cases. Like, you can only go so far before you max out a credit card.
All right, let's go ahead and jump over to the next portion here. Talk about some electrical usage.
A lot of people over the past month saw a big increase in their electric bill, and residential electric rates have risen.
Alright, so here the chart is around 14 cents per kilowatt hour back in 2015. Now it's more like 19 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's about a 25-30% increase in the cost of electricity. That's a big jump in about 10 years there. Now, I just checked my electric bill. I pay just under 9 cents per kilowatt hour here in Florida. So that is a bit below what this chart is showing here, which is nice. However, it's also very hot in Florida. So during the summertime, I run the air conditioning 24 hours a day. And during the wintertime, I only run the air conditioning during the afternoons. And so because of that, that does get my electric bills rather high. Because typically, when it comes to your electric bill, the largest expense is the air conditioning and the heating. And usually the second largest expense is the hot water tank, followed by the refrigerator. These are usually the most power-hungry appliances. And if you have an electric car that you charge at home, I read online once it takes about as much electricity as 25 refrigerators. So if you have an EV at home, it takes a lot of money to charge that thing up. So when you look at it, ask ourselves, how can we save money on electricity? Well, there's a few things we can do. For one, my monthly electric bill the past couple of months has been pretty consistent at about $160 per month of electricity. I was talking to someone I know a few weeks ago about her electric bill, and she said she pays $260 a month. $100 more, that's a pretty big difference. So I asked her, what temperature to keep your house at? She keeps her house at 62 degrees. I keep my house at 72 degrees. So by raising the temperature of my house by about 10 degrees, I saved $100 off my electric bill. Also consider this. This house, even though it comes equipped with a central air conditioning, I don't ever use it. I use window air conditioners for two reasons. For one, you can get very, very power efficient window air conditioners these days. They don't take a lot of power to run. And on top of that, I'm in a bit of a unique position because I have several rooms I'm not using. This is a 3-bedroom house, and I live here alone. I'm a household of one, which means I have 2 extra bedrooms and an extra bathroom that I don't use. So there's no point air conditioning those extra rooms. I just air condition the parts of the house I actually use. And so if I ran a central AC, it would keep the whole house nice and cold, wasting me power. But if I close off the doors I don't need and only air condition the parts of the house I use, I can save even more money. So $160 a month for electricity, isn't that bad. And you look at some of these bills here, if you're paying, 20 cents per kilowatt hour, and you've got a household of 4, I can imagine you're probably paying, $400 a month, $500 a month just for electricity. That could be a big bill.
Fast across the U.S., more than 30% for the average person since 2020, which is almost double the official rate of inflation. You got some.
All right, so let's go ahead and call it quits here with the advertisement here. But like I said, there's all kinds of expenses out there, all kinds of money saving tricks. I got plenty of videos out there showing how to save money here, how to save money there, because here at the Financial Optimist, I promote the lifestyle where you live on less than $1,000 a month, even though I'm here in the United States. And I do like to live that kind of minimalistic lifestyle, keep my bills low. There's all kinds of ways of saving money. There's so many expenses you can skip on life if you don't want to pay them. So go and watch for the videos. I show you how to save money. Otherwise, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. I love to answer your questions. Until then, see you next time.